We'll get back to her and the Washington Bureau in one moment. But first, this Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is hoping to sign legislation that would give unvaccinated police officers a $5,000 bonus to relocate to the Sunshine State. That's right. You heard it right. The governor of Florida wants to give a $5,000 reward for anti-vaxxers, for frontline police officers who are anti-vaxxers. This in one of the largest states in America. During an appearance on Fox News yesterday, DeSantis called on police officers across the country, including those in New York, Minneapolis, and Seattle, to relocate to Florida if they feel they're not being accommodated at their jobs. His pitch comes after COVID mandates were implemented in cities nationwide, as government workers such as law enforcement officers who don't comply risk losing their jobs. Governor DeSantis said the bill would be introduced during an upcoming special session of the Florida legislature. And again, at this point, Jonathan, obviously it's just political theater meant to serve as outrage porn with Ron DeSantis. First, he tells small business owners what they cannot do to stay safe. Then he tells cruise lines what they cannot do to stay safe. Then he tells local school boards and schools what they cannot do to stay safe. He tells teachers what they cannot do to stay safe. And just so he can keep drumming up the outrage, now he wants everybody to be shocked and stunned and deeply saddened at the fact that he is actually encouraging anti-vaxxers on the front lines, are law enforcement officers who actually are the very people who need to be vaccinated the most, all in hopes, I guess, of outraging the left and outraging the media. But unfortunately, this isn't just pure political gamemanship. This is something that has real-life implications for a lot of Americans.
And, Joe, in the last year or two, more law enforcement officers have died of COVID in the line of duty than by any other reason, including, assault at the hands of a suspect. There are, indeed, the people who need to be vaccinated the most. And there's been real resistance among some law enforcement unions, some police unions in big cities, including in New York. And now this is Governor DeSantis in Florida trying to capitalize on that, trying to make, indeed, vaccines be this divisive, hot-button political issue when we know, and Neil Cavuto, to his credit, just said say this should not be about politics. This is about keeping yourself and your loved ones and complete strangers, for that matter, safe. Vaccines are about you and everyone else. And this is, Governor DeSantis has obviously, staked his flag in the ground here, looking at a 2024 bid. He is someone who many Republicans suggest would be the favorite if Donald Trump doesn't run, and maybe even the one person who could challenge Trump if he does. And he has sort of made the pandemic and his response to it, Florida much more open during the early days of the pandemic than other places. He's had involved in litigation with school boards in various jurisdictions about masks, including on students for little kids. And now, he's refusing to comply with vaccine mandates, even asking his advisors if they could opt out of federal regulations being about to come down from OSHA, requiring vaccines for businesses that employ a certain number of people. And now this, opening up the welcome mat for police officers across the country who won't get the vaccine, which is just endangering themselves and others.
Well, and encouraging them not to get it and saying, I'll pay you $5,000 to be an anti-vaxxer. Any Republican out there, still in my former party, that wants to believe that this party can come back, that somehow that Trump was just a phase that we were going through, take a look at a guy who's considered to be the front runner for 2024. And you can see how intellectually bankrupt this party is. Because that guy who's seen as the front runner, if Donald Trump doesn't run, is a guy that is saying state power can be used to step on small business owners and oppress small business owners and stop small business owners from protecting themselves, their workers, and their customers. You have a guy that, again, is at the head of this party that is stepping on larger businesses, on cruise lines, telling them what they have to do and what they cannot do, that if they want to take steps to keep people on their cruise lines healthy, and let's face it, keep their bottom line healthy, Ron DeSantis is using the power of the centralized state to step on them as well. He's stepping on teachers. He's using the centralized state to step on local school boards. He's using the centralized state to step on anybody on the local level who wants to take reasonable, rational steps that their family doctors would recommend they take to keep their students and their teachers and their school principals and families associated with that school safe. And now he's going to give a $5,000 bonus to somebody if they're an anti-vaxxer. That is, ladies and gentlemen, your Republican